Hello, my friends, and welcome to today's episode of The Rising Stoic. My name is Nash Mackey. I'm a rapid breakthrough and personal performance coach to high performers all around the world. If you're wondering what on earth does a high performance coach do, essentially I work with high performers to break through mental and emotional barriers that get in the way of them being at their best. Now, a key part of the work I do as a high performance coach is supporting my clients develop the right mentalities that allow them to optimize their performance, that allow them to show up at their best. And this is why I love creating these Stoic videos for you, sharing this amazing information that we can draw on, this wisdom we can draw on from the Stoics that can allow us to live a really great quality of life. And you don't need to be an executive, you don't need to be a high-level athlete, you don't need to be a high-level entrepreneur or any of that kind of thing in order for these ideas to work for you. Regardless of where you're at in life, I truly believe these perspectives, these Stoic perspectives, can enrich your life. So today, as always, we're here to pull apart, to explore, and to hopefully add to a little bit, if I feel I can, in some way based on everything I've researched over the past 10 years, add to some of the ideas the Stoics had to make it relevant in today's world and practical, more importantly. So today's video is going to be a little bit more of a deep dive than previous videos we've done. I had a question in my mind. It was bouncing around and it wouldn't leave me alone. It was a bit like an annoying mosquito in your room when you're trying to sleep. It kept buzzing around in my mind, and it was, were the Stoics spiritual? Now, I personally believe that every single one of us has a spiritual component to us. I actually believe that we're spiritual beings having a human experience. That's a deep idea for a lot of people, but bear with me. So I had this idea, were the Stoics spiritual? And so I wanted to explore that. What I discovered is the ancient Stoics had this idea or this belief of something called divine reason or logos. To them, this is the meaning and order behind everything. So just in hearing that divine reason or that logos that the Stoics are talking about, it sounds like there's something very spiritual in that. And so that's what I wanted to explore today, because I believe having a spiritual dimension to your life that you cultivate deliberately acts like another booster on your rocket. You've obviously got a mental dimension, you've got a physical dimension. I believe we've got a spiritual dimension as well. So I love that the Stoics had this perspective. Let's unpack it a little bit together. So the Stoics believe that this divine reason makes everything within the universe work in perfect synchronicity and balance, and with perfect purpose and order. Now, this belief is so powerful. And when I heard this, it made me fall in love with the Stoic philosophy even more. I learned this perspective or this idea of divine order that was behind everything many years ago from one of my mentors. In fact, one of my mentors, Dr. John Demartini, who's one of the leading human behavior specialists in the world, he has this beautiful acronym. He calls it the Grand Organizing Design, or GOD, God for short. So simply put, the Stoics believe that nothing is by accident or out of place. Now, when I really grasped this mentality a few years ago, that nothing's out of place, that everything's in perfect order, that everything's in perfect balance, it was a truly life-changing perspective for me. So you don't have to fully believe this idea, but what I encourage you to do is just put your disbelief aside. Just play with the idea, at least in this video, that everything in life is working in perfect harmony, that there's an order behind absolutely everything. Just try this on and actually start experimenting with this belief, this filter, if you want, as you go throughout your life. Start trusting, as these very wise Stoics did, that there was a divine reason behind absolutely everything. Now, I will say that sometimes it's hard to understand the reason, but just trusting there is a reason can give you hope even in the most extreme situations. Now, it doesn't matter if you're atheist, if you're Christian, if you are someone who classes yourself as spiritual overall. I don't think any of us can deny, when we look around in nature and actually look at the perfection of how every single little bug and every single little flower and blade of grass, and then we go all the way up through the different animals, all the way to humans. When you look at it all, when you look at the planets then, and you look at the seasons, all of these things, it's hard to say that they are random. It's hard to say that there's not some kind of order behind it. So actually looking at this and acknowledging it in nature is a great way to realize that it's actually in play in your own life. Sometimes as we are going through life, we don't recognize it within ourselves, within our own life, but we can recognize it outside of ourselves. So recognizing the pattern, the order, or the reason in nature is a great place to start if this idea is a little bit hard for you to grasp. Seneca once said, "What is divine escapes human notice because of its minuteness." Now, many people, I believe, struggle to see the perfection or the divinity in everything, because they've developed this belief that God is in some things, or that there's organizing design, or there's perfection in some things and there's not in others. And this way of thinking that God, or there's perfection in some things and not in others, is actually quite a lopsided way to operate in life. And you'll find that if you're operating from this perspective that some things are good, some things are bad, that you find your emotions aren't very stable, that you're being thrown around by life as you find yourself facing off time and time again with different situations that you could label as bad or good. When they're good, you're up. When they're bad, you're down, as opposed to saying life is. So I know many people personify God. They've got this idea of that God is this man who's in the sky or something like that, and they're like, God is up there, he's in some things but not in others. They personify God, and they create a God that is limited to their level of consciousness or awareness or understanding. Now, I grew up as a Catholic, so I do understand this kind of thinking. Now, I'm not saying that all Christians or all Catholics or anyone else who worships a God believes this at all. Some people have a beautiful, well-rounded perspective, but I'm just saying, for some people, if you're finding, you're like, I want a connection with God, I want a connection to something greater, I want to see that there's an order, there's a perfection to life, but you're focusing on God or order or perfection being in some things but not in others, it really doesn't allow you to have a deep connection to the magnificence of life. And I believe that this is a far healthy, far more effective, and it's a perspective that can allow us to feel truly supported by the power that's literally beating our heart right now. And I have seen many people with spiritual beliefs believe that when life is going a certain way and life is good, that God is blessing them, and when life isn't going the way they want, that somehow they're being punished by God or the universe or life. And again, they've got a perspective that's just causing them to be thrown around by the happenings of life. They're constantly at the mercy of life, as opposed to having a grounded, powerful perspective that life has always got their back, that life wants them to win, that the opportunity they have is to start to work in harmony with life. I personally have found that the most profound perspective is to view everything, everyone, and every moment as sacred, or, in the language of the Stoics, that it is divine. Now, I do want to say that having this perspective that everything has a divine order to it, there's a perfection to everything, that does not mean that we're off the hook taking the best possible action. I really believe that regardless of what you choose to do, life will continue on. It will continue on. The world will go ahead regardless of how you choose to live. However, while I are here, while all of us are here, the opportunity we have is to do something to the best of our abilities that causes other human beings who come after us to live a greater quality of life. And that's what I believe these perspectives of having this connection to the perfection behind everything can allow us to do. It is time you realize that you have something in you more powerful and miraculous than the things that affect you and make you dance like a puppet. Marcus Aurelius. So you've stuck with me this far through the video, and I acknowledge you for this, because these are big ideas. Trusting that if something happens, it is meant to happen that way. That perspective is truly life-changing. And the way you're going to develop that is, again, trusting that there's a divine order, there's divine reason behind everything. Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. Marcus Aurelius. I do want to clarify that I don't believe that we are at the mercy of life, that we are just here, again, as Marcus Aurelius says, as puppets, just to operate and walk down a predestined path. I believe we do have choice. I do believe we can create something exceptional. I love what David Goggins says. He's like, one day I want to meet my maker, and I want my maker to be inspired by how much I did. I want my maker to say, hey, I created you for this, but you achieved this. I think that that's a really, really cool perspective to have. Now, a perspective I do like to share with my clients is that every single one of us as humans, our life can be seen like a field. We all have a field. We're all born with a field. Now, some of us might be handed down fields from our parents that are a little bit bigger than others, but at the end of the day, we've all got a field. Now, based on what we choose to do with life will ultimately determine the size of the field that we then get to cultivate. Some people like to keep their field really small because they don't want to do anything, and in fact, they just neglect their field. It's just a patch of ground. It's probably got weeds growing. But then there are other people who are probably a little bit smarter, and they're saying, something along the lines of, hey, I know I've got a field and I don't want to have it too big because I want to manage what I have. I want to be very deliberate with what I have. I want to be intentional, so I'm going to keep my fields small. Now, those people usually go and tend to work for other people who've got bigger fields, and the way we have a bigger field in life is by choosing a bigger vision, by choosing a bigger purpose for our life, by choosing a bigger mission. So we get to determine the size of our field, but it is up to us to constantly plant the seeds, to cultivate, to fertilize that soil, to do whatever is required to get other people in to support us. And the more of an incredible harvest we grow, the more people's lives will be blessed, the more fulfilled we'll be as we see the results of our work, if we see the fruits of our labor. Now, in saying that, we've all got our fields, and it doesn't matter how much work we've done. At times in life, a natural disaster can come through. There can be floods, there can be fires, there can be things that happen that completely destroy all of our work. You then have the opportunity to find the perfection in that. That is the ultimate flex. And really just having this belief, just holding this frame of mind that there's a perfection to it, you trust that it's happening as a gift, as an opportunity for you to up level, is the most powerful perspective. You are setting yourself up to win having this perspective. So regardless of what field size you've chosen in life, and you can see your family, your fitness, all the dimensions of your life, your career, your finances, all as part of your field, regardless of how big you're choosing to play in all of those arenas, all we can ever do is really cultivate them, which means taking the right action, thinking the right thoughts, and also planting the right seeds, and then trusting that life will do the rest. You don't get down there when you plant a seed in your garden. You don't sit there and tell that seed to grow. You plant it, you put in the best possible environment, and then you trust that it will grow. My wife and I actually use this perspective for real in our life, not only when our baby girl navigated open heart surgery, but also when our home actually got flooded and destroyed. We trusted that it was a gift, that it was exactly what we needed, that it was our next level opportunity, that there was a perfection to it. And let me tell you how that allowed us to get on top of it, how that allowed us to take control of the situation and progress out of that mess was absolutely incredible. We're still blown away when we look back how quickly we picked ourselves up and we moved on from that. And we closed that chapter off, and we learnt so much from it. But it was that perspective. We could have wallowed in the sorrow and the pity party, but no, we picked ourselves up, dusted ourselves off, and got on with it because of this perspective, because we trusted. The truth is, there are no rules in life that say that we have to feel a particular way after a certain event. We don't have to be in sorrow or grieving or angry about something. That there's no set point for that stuff. We get to decide that as individuals. How long are we going to choose to indulge in these particular emotions? Because the truth is, the longer we do, the more that event gets drawn out. And you've got to ask yourself, if it's a painful event, if it's a challenging event, why would you want to draw it out any longer than you need to? It really all comes down to our perspectives. Now, in saying this, we can't kid ourselves. If there's an emotional or physical wounding that's happened where you've really got some deep stuff to process and heal from, you've got to do the work. You've got to address that. You've got to deal with that. And this is the work I do also, supporting people feel and heal and process past hurt, past blockages, past things that they've never been able to fully understand. I support my clients get on the other side of the biggest challenges and traumas of their life and free themselves finally, because maybe things happened at a point in life where you didn't have the understanding around how to actually make sense of it. And so your systems held on to it. That's an important distinction to make. However, as adults, as you're going through life, and the more you've gone back and done your childhood work and you've cleared up that space, the more effective you will be at doing this as an adult, where things show up and you're able to see it as it is, not worse than it is. You're actually able to see the perfection in it, and you're actually able to rise above it. And really embracing this idea of this divine reason or divine order behind everything really allows us to navigate through life with less highs and lows. And ultimately, it allows us to have a profound, deep reverence and connection for everything that happens in life. Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. Epictetus. So my friends, I told you today was going to be a deep dive. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've got a lot of value from it, some big ideas. I appreciate you being here. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you took away. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please share this out with people you care about. To find out more about me, you can check out my website below. Most importantly, take these ideas, apply them in your life. Again, if you've been running through life with the opposite of these perspectives, give these ones a go if it feels right to you. Once again, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video.